You're listening to AI Signals, Daily Dose, more than 30%. That's how many pull requests at Cursor are now written entirely by AI agents running on their own virtual machines. Not autocomplete, not suggestions. Agents that spin up a computer, clone your repo, write code, test it, record a video of themselves using the software, and hand you a merge ready pull request. Yesterday, Cursor made this available to everyone, and it might be the biggest shift in how software gets built since agents entered the picture. This is your daily dose. Today, we're doing a deep dive on Cursor's Cloud Agents announcement, what it means for the AI coding tool war, and where the whole industry is heading. Let's get into it. So, here's the setup. For the last year or so, AI coding tools have been getting smarter, but they've been stuck in your editor. You open Cursor or Copilot, you type a prompt, the AI writes some code, and you review it line by line. It's fast, it's useful, but the agent still shares your computer. It competes with you for resources. It can't actually run the software it's building. It's like hiring a carpenter who can draw blueprints but never picks up a hammer. Yesterday, Cursor changed that. They published a blog post titled Agents Can Now Control Their Own Computers. And it's not an exaggeration. Here's what the new cloud agents actually do. When you kick off a task, Cursor spins up an isolated virtual machine in the cloud. The agent onboards itself onto your code base. It writes code, runs the build, opens a browser, clicks through the app, and tests its own work. If something breaks, it iterates. When it's done, it creates a pull request with screenshots, logs, and a video recording of itself using the finished feature. You can even remote into the agent's desktop to poke around yourself without checking out the branch locally. And here's where it gets really interesting. Because these agents run on their own machines, you're not limited to one or two running at a time. Alexi Robbins, co-head of engineering for asynchronous agents at Cursor, told CNBC, and I'm paraphrasing here, that instead of juggling 1 to 3 tasks at once, you can now have 10 or 20 agents running in parallel with high throughput. You can trigger them from the Cursor desktop app, from the web, from your phone, from Slack, or from GitHub. The idea is that a developer sits at a higher level, reviewing pull requests and making judgment calls, while a fleet of agents does the actual file editing and testing. Cursor is calling this the biggest shift in how they build software since the move from tab autocomplete to working synchronously with agents. And they're eating their own cooking. More than 30% of their merged pull requests now come from these cloud agents. All right, but Cursor isn't operating in a vacuum. Let's talk about the numbers and the war. This is the second angle I want to hit because the competitive dynamics here are wild. Cursor's parent company, Anysphere, raised $2.3 billion in November at a $29.3 billion valuation. That's nearly triple what they were worth just 6 months earlier. They crossed $1 billion in annualized revenue, have over 1 million daily active developers, and half the Fortune 500 is using the product. And they did all of this with essentially zero marketing spend. That's a word of mouth growth curve that almost never happens in enterprise software. But here's the thing, the competition is fierce and closing in from every direction. Anthropic's Claude Code has grown to over 2.5 billion in run rate revenue. It takes a completely different approach. It's a command line tool, not an IDE. You hand it a task, and it plans, executes, and verifies like a colleague you've delegated to. OpenAI's Codex has more than 1.5 million weekly active users. And GitHub Copilot just became a multi-agent platform. VS Code now runs Claude, Codex, and Copilot agents side by side under a single subscription. Microsoft is essentially saying, we don't care whose model wins, we'll host all of them. So, what makes Cursor different in this crowd? Two things. First, depth of integration. Because Cursor forked VS Code and rebuilt it around AI, the agent can see your entire project structure, your terminal output, your recent actions in a way that bolt-on copilots can't easily match. Second, and this is the big move from yesterday, they're the first to give agents full computer use in the cloud with video artifacts. It's one thing for an agent to write code. It's another for it to spin up a browser, navigate your app, and show you a recording of what it did. That's a qualitative leap in trust and verifiability. Now let's zoom out to the big picture, because I think what Cursor announced yesterday is a preview of where this entire industry is heading. And by the end of this segment, I think you'll see why some people are calling this the beginning of the self-driving code base. The pattern is clear. In 2024, AI coding tools were glorified autocomplete. Tab, accept, tab, accept. In 2025, they became synchronous agents. You chat with them in your editor, and they'd make changes while you watched. Now in 2026, we're entering the era of asynchronous autonomous agents. You describe what you want, walk away, and come back to a finished pull request with a video demo. Cursor is leaning into this hard. They recently introduced long-running agents that can plan first and work over longer time horizons. Sub-agents can now spawn their own sub-agents, creating a tree of coordinated work. They acquired Graphite, a code review tool, to help manage the flood of AI-generated pull requests. And Cursor Blame, an enterprise feature, extends Git blame with EI attribution, so teams can see exactly which lines were written by which model versus which human. That's not just a nice to have. When 30% or more of your pull requests come from agents, knowing what was human reviewed and what wasn't becomes a compliance and security question. But there's a tension here, and it's worth naming. As agents get more autonomous, the developer's role shifts. You spend less time writing code and more time reviewing code you didn't write. You become an architect and a quality gate rather than a builder. Some developers love this. It lets them focus on the creative, high-level decisions. Others find it deeply uncomfortable. If the agent wrote it, tested it, and demoed it, what exactly is your job? That's the question the industry hasn't fully answered yet. So here's the big picture for today. Cursor's cloud agents aren't just a product update. They're a signal. The AI coding tool market is moving from assistance to autonomy, from autocomplete to agent fleets. Cursor is betting that the future developer manages agents the way a tech lead manages a team, with taste, judgment, and strategic direction, while the agents handle the execution. Whether you use Cursor, Claude Code, Copilot, or all three, this shift is coming for every developer. Keep an eye on how quickly competing tools match this cloud agent model. My guess? Within 3 months, everyone will have some version of it. If you found this useful, share it with a developer who's trying to keep up with how fast the tools are changing. I'll be back tomorrow with your next daily dose. Until then, stay curious.